Hi, I'm Calum, and today I'm going to compare two films, Infernal Affairs made in 2002 and its 2006 remake, The Departed. Infernal Affairs is a Hong Kong film, whereas The Departed is American. This means that both films have major cultural differences. Both films share the mutual narrative of a cop going undercover into a criminal gang and a criminal going into the police force. The Departed was made on a budget of 90 million US dollars, whereas Infernal Affairs was made on a budget of only 8 million US dollars. The criminal gang that is in both films, which I mentioned before, has two political names in both films. In Infernal Affairs, the gang is known as the Triads. The Triads were criminals in mainland China, but then the government forced them to migrate to Hong Kong. Apparently in the 50s, there were over 300,000 triads in Hong Kong. This is why the gang is so significant in Infernal Affairs. In The Departed, the gang is known as the Irish Mafia. This is relevant because many Irish Americans formed mobs and arose during the time of Prohibition. Apparently, Irish American gangs only started to decline in the mid-90s in Boston. The Departed has a subtle Italian influence, for instance the Mediterranean-style music. This is because Scorsese is known for crime thrillers of Italian influence, with him being of Italian descent himself. The film also has Irish-sounding music, like bagpipes for example. Infernal Affairs uses pop music, traditional Chinese music and, in fact, some Middle Eastern-sounding music. The Departed is grittier than Infernal Affairs. There is more violence, like the bar scene at the start for instance. The rooftop scenes are also good examples. In The Departed, the rooftop is in a less upper-class location than in Infernal Affairs. The rooftop is dirty and there's lots of rubbish around. Inside the actual building, there are graffitied walls. In Infernal Affairs, the rooftop location looks much nicer, with a view of hills, and the building in itself looks much more expensive, representing the richness of Hong Kong. The building in The Departed looks a little abandoned or informally used. In Infernal Affairs, the building's interior is far more formal, like an actual work building. The building in Infernal Affairs is in a busy location, with lots of people around outside doing shopping and things. In The Departed, the area outside the building is quiet, and there are no shoppers around or no public, adding the tension to the film, the action, the suspense. Though The Departed is grittier, Infernal Affairs is more stylised. This can be seen by its montages and its black and white flashbacks and its cinematography. The shots of the skyscrapers are quite stylised and arty. The religious imagery in Infernal Affairs, i.e. the statues and the Buddhist temple at the start, add a art house style to the film, along with the opening credits with the shots of the Buddhist god statues. I also think that these Buddhist statues give a foreshadowing, as they're quite creepy looking. They give a foreshadowing of what happens at the end of the film. And the one with the long arm is almost like fate, like Lung's character cannot escape the fate of dying because the arm is so long and powerful. Infernal Affairs doesn't have a great amount of violence because it relies more on drama above action. For example, after the Sarge's death, sad music starts. This was done to add drama. The same scene in The Departed relies more on tension and action. No music is played when the body drops from the building, adding an unsettling feel, I think. In terms of characters, I think that The Departed goes more into depth with them. For instance, I think you realise the isolation more of DiCaprio's character Costigan than of Leung's character Chen Wing-yan. We follow Costigan through his hard times, like when his mother dies and the way Sergeant Dignam, played by Wahlberg, bullies him. However, in Infernal Affairs, we don't get as big a perspective into Leung's private life, and police officers respect him more. Also, Nicholson's character, who plays Costello, has a bigger role in The Departed compared to Sam's role in Infernal Affairs. There is much more depth to the character, and we see his relationship with DiCaprio. The major differences between these two films is that Infernal Affairs in fact uses 2 sequels in order to end the film, whereas The Departed is just one quite long film of about 3 hours or something. But basically, the endings also are good to compare, because in The Departed, the criminal played by Matt Damon gets killed in the end. This is like a stereotypical Hollywood ending, everything goes well, whereas in Infernal Affairs, the bad guy played by Andy Lau is not killed. It has to rely on 2 more sequels to have a happy ending.